be
Right.
pain equals success, and success has a certain amount of value, but fuck happiness.
Yeah, he's mapping basically the structure of Alex thinking. Pain equals success, and success has a certain amount of value, but fuck happiness. Right. Okay.
So you have literally hypnotized yourself into missing it because you weren't.
Wow. Wow. I can't believe Tony Robbins just said that to him. That's good. He's like, you hypnotize yourself into missing it. And look at that. He is hypnotized. Wow. That's crazy. Referred to Galatians 3:1, like, oh foolish Galatians, like, who has bewitched you? By the way, my wife just gave me, like, in telepathy, that thought. That's perfect.
Feeling fulfilled. So the idea that these people keep telling you, I would tell you is true. And I'll just give my own experience. We're not the same person, but maybe it'll be instructive. I don't know. So I don't know, maybe 10 years I found myself in a place where it's like, I love my life. I couldn't be more fulfilled than this. I have the most incredible wife. I have the most incredible kids. You know, I want to be an athlete and to make it. Right behind you, I have like 6 national championship rings with different teams that I own or that I help to coach and turn around. I'm working with the greatest athletes in the world, the greatest business people in the world. I'm having fun. I've got homes all over the world. There's nothing. What else could make me fulfilled? I mean, now this is the it. I can't be any more, and I'm not complaining.
Crazy, right? He got to a point where he saw he could conquer anything in 3D. And it's like, yes, Tony, you can conquer anything in 3D if you master your body. But there's so much more.
There's some part of me like you that was hungry for more still. You wouldn't be asking me a question unless there was part of you that wants a hunger for some.
Wow, it actually reminded me right now, the Holy Spirit, of that verse that says, what profiteth a man that he may gain the whole world but lose his soul?
Called happiness, or want something besides just duty, or you wouldn't ask me. So, and I'm not telling you I have the answer, I'll tell you what it was for me. It's like, the same these people told you is me. I've always was contributing the same as you. I've been doing it since very little. But I started saying, you know what I'm gonna do? I wanna do some moonshots in that area. I know how to scale businesses. I've grown businesses from nothing up to 12 billion. It's like in those days it was like 4 billion. Like,
That's cool. He's mastered how to grow a company from nothing to 12 billion. That's proper. That's huge mastery in money. Respect, like, he can definitely teach me a lot in business. But that doesn't mean that he knows the truth and he is set free and he is out of the curse from the law.
what would really get me going? And at that point, I've been feeding people since I was a kid. When I was 11 years old, we had no food on Thanksgiving. Somebody came, delivered food, changed my life. It made me believe strangers care.
I've heard that story for sure. About this, like, food delivery and how that inspired him to feed like 1 million people, and he's like fed like so many people, which is awesome. And he's even saying like I was already contributing, like I already had like, just millions of people that I had fed. And so what kept him going? Let's see.
So I cared about strangers, and I started 2 families, 4 families. I got to 1 million, 4 million. So about this point, I've been feeding people for 37 years. So I called my foundation.
Wow, it said he's been feeding people for 37 years.
How many people have I fed in my lifetime? And they said 42 million. I was like, wow.
Wow, he's fed 42 million people in total. That's amazing. Look at that. He's even with his face like, wow. Wow. Let's see. But are you feeding them with spiritual food?
That's pretty awesome. But I had no association to it. I felt good about it, but I was doing it, all these different ways. I was like, there's so much pain out there. I'm gonna feed 1 billion people. In the next
there's a lot of pain, and I love that he's like, I'm gonna feed 1 billion people.
10 years. It took 37 years to do 42 billion. I started out by saying, well, what if I did as many people I've done in my lifetime in the next 10 years? What if I did as many people in my lifetime in 1 year? And then I was like, what if I did 100 million people in a year? What if 100 million people a year for 10 years? Did 1 billion meals right here in the United States. And I got so ignited by that, Alex, that it was more than, it wasn't money, it wasn't business.
That's so interesting, right? Bigger goals of helping people are driving Tony Robbins' spirit. That's so interesting. That's the fractal that he is grasping from his true calling to save 1 billion people's lives. Wow.
wasn't success. It wasn't, okay, there's a system. It was like, I have to rip apart. If it took me 37 years to 42 million, to go to a billion is going to require me to think differently, come up with a strategy different, be different, and to think of a billion lives. That number somehow brought a different level of life. It's kind of like Kennedy saying, we're going to go in this decade and we're going to land on the moon and bring a man back to the earth. And all the guys at NASA are like...
Again, the moon, like, yeah, it's like, let's land on the moon and get back to earth. And there was like, yeah. The guys at NASA, man. NASA is such an illusion too. What a crazy, like, psyop.
Bullshit, right? This is not going to happen, right? We don't have technology to do it. I don't care. This is what we're going to do. There's something about building a moonshot for contribution outside even what you've done in business. And I said I'd do it in 10 years. I did it in 8 years. So then I finished that and was like, I'm traveling around the world. You see people starving. It's just trying to do what you're going to do. It's like, no, I need something bigger. So I was in the UAE.
Something bigger, yeah. And he will keep searching for something bigger until he also wakes up and is able to do things like levitation, telekinesis, telepathy, pyrokinesis, teleportation. Like, he freaking knows. I love to train Tony Robbins. Robbins, if you see this, I would love to train you. It's only 1 million for you. Okay, let's go.
And I had a lunch with MBZs, the head of the country, brilliant man. And he calls me the next day and goes, I want to have lunch with you again. That's cool, I'm not going to do that, right? So I come sit down with him and he goes, I brought you lunch today because there's 2 people feeding most people on Earth and they should know each other. So he introduced me to Governor Beasley, who ran the World Food Program for the UN, right? So I said, well, I think you're doing more than me, he said. And so we talked, he later won the Nobel Prize, but we stayed in a relationship. And because of our relationship, he got so frustrated with the bureaucracy of the UN that one day he said, tell me I'm going to leave the UN, because during his 5 years, we went from 80 million people at verge of starvation to 385 million people. We're just think of those numbers. If you can think of them as, if you just think of those numbers, it doesn't, but if you follow like one child starving, it'll change the OEM.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's been able to figure out how to not make numbers matter when it comes to money, but he makes numbers matter when it comes to people. You know what I mean? Like, illusion.
That system to something more, it's like watching a movie. Watching a movie about war, it's too much. You follow one person and what they go through, you feel it. So I got associated with that and I said to him, what if we create a strike force team? If you're going to leave, how many meals would it take to feed everybody in the world for 10 years that need it, where it would give us time to build a sustainable solution? Because you can't keep doing the same crap, right? He goes, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 billion meals? I said, let's do a 100 billion meal challenge. I said, I did.
Wow, and he made it 100 billion meal challenge. Like, he wants to feed 100 billion people. Like, he's getting like, even like, wow, right, more.
A billion meals. When I started, I wasn't a billionaire. I've been blessed, obviously, since that time. You do great work. If you bless others, you'll be blessed, right? I wasn't doing it there.
Interesting. He's like, if you bless others, you'll be blessed. Like, he gets that 5D concept, but he's not doing it in Christ Jesus, even though he's doing like just works, but still under the law. That's why it says that by the works of the law, no man will be justified. Tony, you still don't know that you're not justified by works. Okay. I would really recommend you read Galatians 3.
Reason it just came about. So I said,
this is your brain when you're struggling to focus.
Yes.
And this is your brain
when
you're
brain
in the zone. But getting in the
well, there's got to be 90 more guys like me in the world. There's 3,000 billionaires or owners of companies or countries that'll do this. So we did this 100 billion meal challenge and we went to Forbes 400. I thought we're going to get 50 of these guys, right? The richest people in the world. 4 people stood up. 4. Like, this is not working. We're going to do something different. But I won't bore you with all the details. The strategy, the thought process, and what kept me going though is it's not just having this unreasonable goal. It's having strong enough emotional reasons. And I got.
Interesting. So it's like not just a huge goal, that's good, but you need to have enough emotional reasons to be motivated. That's good. I agree with that because he's making a connection to the emotional body. And so he's connecting the spirit to the emotion. That's one of his pillars of why he's done so well, because that's very valuable. Because then the associations that you have with the images that you get at the level of the spirit will be able to be rewired. And yeah, of course, like a lot of the NLP is based on this.
In these environments where people are starving. I got in Sudan where 1 million people cut off by the rebels there, and they were starving them out. This was just this last year. And the UN sent all these food people in, and they killed the drivers and took the food. MBS, not MBS from Saudi Arabia, cares deeply. He tried to provide things. They killed everybody. So people stopped giving money, so people are going to starve. So I said, no, there's something different. I said, I'm just putting a line in the sand. We're going to feed these people. I'm going to provide enough food for 1 million people in a week. Who will match me? And I got Ray Dalio match me. Pretty soon I had $40 million. But how are you going to do it? And this is where it gets so alive. It's like, no one else in the world's done it. We're going to do this. Here's what we're doing. I'm going to hire a bunch of, I'm going to find some military contractors. We're going to take C-130s, and we're going to take drones. And we're going to deliver the food to the people. We delivered 22,000 meals that month. And
nice. So he delivered a bunch of food with drones. 22,000 drones. 22,000 meals that month. That's cool.
Saved all these people starving to death. So when you do that, your level of fulfillment explodes.
Yeah, I see what drives Tony. I just realized it right now. yeah, he is getting the fractal that he must feed people spiritually and do the work that Jesus did, but he's only seeing the physical layer and providing only the physical layer, maybe the mental level, the emotional layer, stuff like this, but not the spiritual. You see, Jesus didn't come here and started just feeding as many people as possible with food. He could have done that. He multiplied the bread and the fish, and he did it literally with his own word. And he multiplied bread and fish to 10,000 people with children and women. If he wanted to feed the whole world, he could have just multiplied, and that would have been his work. But there's so much more than that. Even Jesus said, look, the poor people, they will always be among you.
What the fuck compared to running a business?
Right.
Like the same. So I've been hooked on that. So now we got 62 billion meals in 3 years. Just beyond anybody ever thought was humanly possible. And then so now.
Wow, 62 billion meals in 3 years. Wow, that's a lot of meals.
They said we're going to do a song with We Are the World.
I wonder how many disciples.
I got Jimmy Jam, the most successful Grammy guy, and I got everybody you can imagine in the music business all building together. We just completed our first version of that. And then I'm lucky enough, like you, I'm very blessed. I have a private plane. I have 737, burns a lot of carbon. I'm already conscious how many trees this burns. 3,000 trees a year. I'll plant 100 million trees. But not just plant the trees. I'm going to plant 100 million trees. And I'm going to work with the farmers. I'm going to show them how to go from making $1 a day to $12 a day by having 12. And I work with a group to do that. It's like, a friend of mine's daughter was kidnapped and put into slavery. Just insanity. It happens in America, it happens overseas. And nobody wants to talk about trafficking. But that got me associated to it. We actually helped somebody. And so I went out undercover. I had markings all over my face. I had a makeup person that had scars on my face. I helped negotiate these deals with these animals that do this. It's the ugliest thing I've seen in my life, but also the most beautiful. But again, I didn't just give money. I didn't just write something. I just put something. I went in the fucking trenches. And I'm sitting there watching these girls go through the worst thing on earth, meaning they're chained to a bed to do 8 or 10 tricks a day. And then we get them freed. We brought them to this house. They'd never been out there. They're out on the ocean. They're down here playing basketball. They're the change in their lives. And
yeah, that's beautiful too. I love that about Tony Robbins. He's got an awesome heart for contribution and for helping other people. That's great. But there's so much more.
So then I'm hooked. So my wife and I have now funded 72,000. Started with 30,000. I grew to town of 30,000 people. I want to free that many children, as big as the city I grew up in. Now we're at 72,000. I'm going tonight. We'll probably raise $5 million tonight. I'll do matching funds for everybody at the event to do it. So what I'm trying to say to you is, get off your ass. And I love you and I respect you. I'm not coming from that place. I hope you know where I'm coming from. You've accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with all of what he just said, even though we just discerned the truth about where really this is coming from, and that he's only perceiving a fractal right now because of his level of consciousness. And there's also some hardness of heart, to be honest, to really be able to make Jesus Lord of Lords. And yeah, I saw another video of him that I might show you, actually, if I can just throw it here. But man, it was sad because he's basically just seeing Jesus as a teacher, maybe a prophet, but definitely not God incarnate and the only way to heaven.
Than most people dream in their lifetime, and I respect that. But once I get off your emotional life, stop this fuck happiness shit. And just actually say to yourself, no, I deserve happiness, I'm gonna create happiness, but I have to do it differently than I did before. I can't just get up and just work some.
Wow, yeah, he basically just gave him a little slap with just hey, with all due respect, but get off your ass. You want to do more, but start helping more people. And he's like, wow, yeah, I guess I'm not even helping enough people. And that's a cool cause, right? In the way of the world, but we're not here to please the world. We're not here to gain the whole world. We're not here to, feed all the people that are hungry. We're here to announce the gospel of Jesus Christ so that people can actually enjoy eternal life.
Trained to work. I'm not a fucking robot anymore, right? You're way too smart and you got way too big a heart. I know you do. I know everybody knows you well. I've seen you with your wife. You're an extraordinary human being. You're not just the guy here who does all these wonderful things, and they do wonderful things for people. You're absolutely right. But you're not connected to it, and you don't have something that you're obsessed about.
Oh, he's like, look, you don't have something that you're obsessed about like I do. But both of you don't need to be obsessed over something. You need to be obsessed over someone, and his name is Jesus Christ. Fire.
Makes you feel fully alive. You're doing it because you need to. The difference between have to, duty, and get to, that's the difference between rich and poor. And rich and poor is not money. right? Rich and poor is feeling fully alive. That's rich, right? Poor is you work your ass off and you have plenty of money and you help all kinds of people, but you don't connect it. And again, I'm not making a judgment. I hope you feel my heart. It's just, I want more for you. And I know you wouldn't ask me the damn question. That's true. So it's like, but you need, like, your energy has got to be shifted. You need a kick in the ass. You need to get an environment.
Wow, you see, Tony Robbins even discerned that his energy body needs to shift. He said your energy needs to be shifted. That's so interesting, right? You can see Tony Robbins starting to tap a little bit into the energetic body in the sense of like consciously. Obviously, he's tapped like so much to have a ton of energy, be able to do ton of conferences. Like that's an insane level of energy. Like I know that if God called me to do those things specifically, he would give them to me in the now. But hey, most people have not mastered like even close to that energy that Tony Robbins has. So he can be traveling to different places and he can be giving conferences and coaching a ton of people and running, he said 111 companies. Like that's good. Like don't get me wrong, but it's still under the works of the law.
Where you're on